We are just hours away from a storm that will bring rain for most of us, but icing for some. We'll update you on the timing and take you through Thursday in First Warning Weather.
We're the lucky ones. Our neighbors have been devastated and we're so sad.
The chaos in greater Los Angeles last night giving way to the harsh reality of destruction today. And new tonight, a new fire in the Hollywood Hills.
The Texas Longhorns have arrived in Dallas for the Cotton Bowl with a chance at making their first national championship game in over a decade. All they have to do is deal with the cold and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And we are starting here tonight with the incoming weather and possibility of ice for parts of Central Texas. Thanks for being with us. I'm Daniel Marin with Jennifer Sanders and Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon here to prepare you.
Okay, so we do have those school closures on the bottom of your screen. We also have those at KXAN.com, as a handful of districts have already made decisions about what will happen in the morning.
Yeah, and just really a few hours until we start seeing the signs of some of these rain showers and wintry mix showers arriving in the hill country. In fact, the winter weather advisory begins in the hill country at 6 o'clock, unless you're watching us from San Saba County, where it begins at 3. So early morning hours, the showers and freezing rain showers start to arrive and spread through the area. That winter weather advisory begins at 6 for most of us and continues through Friday morning at 6. The storm responsible is this area of low pressure that also helped to drive those really strong winds and drying winds into Southern California on the other side. But on the eastern side, it's been pulling in moisture. You saw that with all the clouds here today. Well, next up will be the wintry precipitation that will gradually work in from southwest to northeast as we head through tomorrow morning. Right now, it's just cloudy and dry. We expect will be dry for several more hours to come. Temperatures not that cold yet. In fact, that's one of the reasons that we've been leaning so much toward it being mostly rain tomorrow, is that there's not going to be a lot of cold air in place here tonight. We're still at 40 in Austin, low 40s in our eastern counties, but some slightly colder numbers in the hill country, so they don't have as far to drop. And that's why they could see some icing mixing in. We do expect we drop down to 34 in Austin tomorrow, but much of the day spent in the mid to upper 30s and just scattered freezing rain or rain showers arriving overnight. Coming up in First Warning Weather, we'll track that cold rain for most of us, yet who gets ice and how much? We'll update you on that and when we dry out and warm up.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. And Governor Greg Abbott wants Texans to be extra careful when driving the next few days. At a planning event today in Austin, leaders revealed dozens of state agencies have activated emergency resources in preparation for this storm. Thousands of TxDOT employees are pre-treating roadways with brine, and the Texas National Guard is on standby to help stranded drivers. ERCOT says the power grid will be able to service the entire state during the winter storm. However, officials say this does not guarantee your home will have power the whole time.
But ice on trees, ice on power lines, or somebody losing control and hitting a power pole could make you lose power at your house.
And the governor says Texas opened more than 300 warming centers across the state. You can find the nearest one by calling 211. We also have a link at KXAN.com in this story.
The city of Austin also informed us they've deployed crews and will keep emergency response teams on standby to make sure people are safe and warm over the next few days. Austin energy workers are out trimming trees to protect lines from falling limbs. Austin and Travis County cold weather centers typically only operate overnight, but will stay open throughout the day tomorrow. A similar situation in the hill country where crews are hard at work, bracing for freezing temperatures, potentially making travel hazardous.
KXAN's Nabil Ramadna takes us to Burnett County to show us how it's preparing.
Snow and ice are usually rare in these parts.
We live in Texas. We don't live in the north. There's a reason we live in Texas.
But when it happens, not everyone is a fan. Michael Jamel says he'll take summer temperatures over what we're seeing now any day.
Do you think Texas likes this cold weather?
Heck no. No, not at all.
In Burnett County, Emergency Management Coordinator Derek Marchio says he's been watching the weather all week.
Folks are going to be on standby, driving around, checking for any slick spots, as well as our state partners, TxDOT.
You might have seen TxDOT driving the roads across the state and spraying brine.
Brine solution really helps prevent ice from forming on the road, but if it's really freezing, if there's a lot of winter weather, there's still could be some ice on the road.
While the major roads become a priority in major weather events, Burnett County says they have local resources which can help the more rural areas.
Our precinct road and bridge crews are capable of putting down a little bit of brine, definitely sand. So we do have some of the tools to be able to help out.
Staying off the roads is your best bet if there's ice, but also taking some time to prepare for the weather. Jamail says he'll be watching the weather forecast before he hits the road.
I think it's just about knowing what's going to happen and being prepared for it as best we can.
In Burnett County, Nabil Ramadna, KXAN News.
And with North Texas in the crosshairs of this storm, communities have been working around the clock preparing the roads up there. 10 dedicated sanders in Plano were topped off this afternoon with a sand and salt mixture. Bridges and intersections there, of course, are the priority. But unlike Dallas, Plano doesn't have any snow plows because of how rarely they're needed. So they're going to be using backhoes and front end loaders to clear up any snow pileups. And remember, if you don't have it, now is a great time to download the KXAN First Warning Weather app. Just scan the QR code with your phone. You can also find it at KXAN.com. This is going to help you know the timing of the weather and the impact to traffic and any school delays.
And we're following some developing news right now out of Fort Worth that could complicate matters with this weather. Fort Worth FD reports a fire at a power substation in the northern part of the city. Crews are working with Encore to manage that situation. And so far, TNM says tonight that while there were some initial outages, those have been fixed. But with the winter storm coming, of course, power problems are definitely top of mind.
All right, well, now to some breaking news out of Los Angeles. We're showing you a live look at the Hollywood Hills, where yet another large brush fire has broken out near Runyon Canyon, a popular hiking spot. NBC LA is reporting the Sunset Fire is at least 10 acres. There are currently evacuations underway near popular tourist spots, including Hollywood Boulevard. This comes as multiple infernos engulf Southern California. More than 100,000 people have been forced to evacuate. The Palisades Fire has already burned through nearly 16,000 acres, and the Eaton Fire has exploded to more than 10,000 acres. Officials confirmed at a news conference tonight that at least 5 people are dead as a result of the Eaton wildfire. LA Mayor Karen Bass is urging all residents to be vigilant and ready to evacuate.
As we head into tonight, we are still facing strong and erratic winds. In Palisades and in Sylmar, we are very much in an active firefight.
And the LA County Fire Chief estimated the Palisades Fire has destroyed 1,000 structures, and more than 300,000 customers are without electricity.
Back here at home, Austin Public Health wants everyone on alert after state testing confirmed bird flu in dead birds found this month. Those birds turned up in North Austin. APH issued a public health advisory reminding people to avoid contact with wild birds. Adding some depth here, recent cases of the virus have been detected in more than 60 people across the country, including one death reported earlier this week in Louisiana. Back in April, health officials confirmed a human case of the virus in Texas. They said the person contracted it through exposure to dairy cows. Since then, a total of 16 states have recorded outbreaks of bird flu in dairy cows. A group of undocumented migrants are in the custody of Homeland Security after a discovery today near Seguin in Guadalupe County. The sheriff's office says around 2 p.m. a deputy pulled over an 18-wheeler tanker truck on I-10 and then found 18 people in the tank. No injuries reported. DHS is investigating.
A plea deal could be in the works for Austin real estate investor Nate Paul. That's according to discussions in the courtroom this morning. Paul has pleaded not guilty to a dozen federal counts of bank and wire fraud. Now, this idea of a plea deal came up as both sides argued over whether the case should be dismissed. Neither Paul's defense team nor the U.S. attorney have spoken openly about a possible plea. This also comes as the judge denied a motion from both sides to push the trial from next month to April.
The nation will pay its final respects to former President Jimmy Carter tomorrow. President-elect Donald Trump arrived this evening to the Capitol Rotunda. People lined up this morning before sunrise in Washington to see Carter lie in state. Many arrived from around the country.
He was the first president I got to vote for in 1980. And I was living in South Georgia, going to Georgia Southwestern. It's my understanding that it could be hours, but it's okay.
I definitely revered the man. I mean, he's definitely done a lot, as a human being and for the world. So the least I could do is, come and say thank you.
Carter passed away at the age of 100. A state funeral will be held tomorrow at the National Cathedral. NBC News will have special coverage, historic farewell to the former president. That service starts at 9 in the morning Central Time, and you can watch it right here on KXAN.
Local 3D home printing company KXAN is set to lay off more than 100 employees. That's according to a notice sent to the Texas Workforce Commission. KXAN is a well-known company in this futuristic form of home building, even winning a NASA contract to develop construction of habitats on the moon. We've reached out to the company for comments about this recent filing with the state. Well, jobs in artificial intelligence are on the rise here in Austin.
An AI company that just moved to the area from California says those jobs are in demand. And as KXAN's Sarah Alshay reports, positions are quickly adding up.
Using artificial intelligence to help businesses improve efficiency and accuracy.
Abby is an artificial intelligence and intelligent automation company. We were based out of California. We've moved as far as to Texas in 2024.
Meet Abby, one of the newest additions to a growing list of tech companies relocating to Austin. Chief Product and Technology Officer Patrick Jean lists several reasons for the move.
University of Austin, other universities around here, obviously a great ecosystem for talent. Relatively good cost as far as a living. Quality of life is great for individuals as well as families.
The city now a top 10 market for tech talent specializing in AI, according to commercial real estate information company CBRE. The report says Austin has more than 7,000 tech talent workers in AI.
The Austin tech force and tech industry is definitely booming. The industry is expected to grow 3.2% annually.
There is absolutely a shortage as far as of people to fill the jobs.
According to Workforce Solutions Capital Area, as of last June, there were over 5,000 tech job postings in the Austin area. That's why Gene recommends taking the time to gain skills in AI, something he stresses anyone can do with or without a 4-year degree.
You can just go to YouTube alone and just build yourself as far as a playlist of basically a curriculum. You start developing these skills, could be machine learning, could be AI scientists, but it also could just be using ChatGPT, using some of these AI models. If you know how to use them in your job, you will make more money. You will have more opportunities.
Sarah Alshay, KXAN News.
And the state is trying to regulate artificial intelligence. A Texas lawmaker filed a bill for the upcoming legislative session. The Texas Responsible Artificial Intelligence Governance Act would require companies to disclose whether they are using AI, strengthen protections for personal data in AI systems, promote education and training, and establish guidelines to prevent bias, discrimination when using AI technologies.
All right, let's dig into the timeline of what we're expecting here tomorrow. And I've broken it up starting with Thursday morning, because I think it's going to take a little time before this wintry mix of weather that will mostly be rain actually ramps up. Rain coverage will be scattered at first, meaning there'll be some dry times around in the morning, and you may even think, where's all the rain, right? But I do think that this is going to be the window where we have our highest chances for some freezing rain and icing on those elevated surfaces like bridges in the hill country. Not everywhere in the hill country gets icing, but those that do could see a light glaze. Then we get into Thursday afternoon and evening. We're looking at a widespread cold rain during this period and a lowering ice risk. It doesn't drop to 0 in the hill country, but it does get lower as we head into the second half of the day. And then Friday morning, that rain ends really early. We're saying by 6 a.m. Most of our computer models are suggesting it's done by 2 or 3. I'm just giving ourselves a little bit of wiggle room here, but I do think it's going to be done by dawn. Although as the rain pulls out, it may end briefly as some wet snowflakes. So the coverage starts widely scattered at 6. It grows a little bit at 8 and again at 10. By noon, we're expecting numerous showers, and then here goes the widespread soaking rain during the afternoon and evening. So clearly, the second half of the day has much more of a constant wet weather than the first half of the day as things are ramping up in the morning. Temperatures are not going to move much here tomorrow. They're at 40 now. We drop into the upper 30s at 7, mid-30s midday, and they may actually start to rise slightly into the afternoon. So highs in the upper 30s, lows in the mid-30s in Austin tomorrow. So that storm centered south of Arizona keeps pulling in the moisture from the southwest of us. It brought us the clouds today, and it will bring us the wintry precipitation, but mostly rain for us as we head through the day tomorrow. So here are those scattered showers around at 7. Still many of us dry, but those that see showers in the hill country may see some of that pink showing up there. That's the freezing rain or sleet mixture along with the rain, and still plenty of that here by the middle of the day. There's noon. As that rain gradually spreads eastward through the middle of the day, we'll see a widespread rain in the afternoon, and we'll see those areas of icing shrinking, becoming very isolated during the afternoon in the hill country. Still could have some spotty icing tomorrow evening, as it's still likely raining pretty steadily tomorrow night, even some thunderstorms in the mix. And then here we go, first few hours of Friday morning, that rain wrapping up. But as I mentioned, there could be some wet snow briefly on the very tail end of the rain. So tomorrow, 30% rain chances at 7, 70% at noon, 100% chance of rain during the afternoon, and those temperatures holding steady. But those highest chances for iciness in the hill country will be in the morning. Some areas could get up to 1/1500ths of an inch of ice. I think that would be super localized. Most of you in the hill country and even far western Williamson, Travis, and Hayes counties will see less than 1/10 of an inch of icing, other than spotty icing at worst. Not expecting any in the metro or east. Just a few flakes, but as far as accumulating snow, a coating to an inch of snow or sleet in northern San Saba County. But rain is the story. And remember, we really need the rain. So in a lot of ways, tomorrow's rain will be a great thing for us when we look back on it. 1 to 2 inches of rain with some localized higher amounts possible when you add up Thursday through the first few hours of Friday. Getting into the hill country, though, those rainfall amounts fall off, likely a little bit under an inch there. Here's a look at our first warning weather 7-day forecast. You can see that drier weather for Friday, a cold start to Saturday, but warming this weekend with 60 by Sunday and 50s next week. And don't forget, our morning team's got you covered, tracking the weather as it arrives, starting at 4:30.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Good evening to you. Welcome to North Texas. Both the Longhorns and Buckeyes have made their way here. Texas flying up this afternoon for what they hope is their second to last road trip of the season. One more would be a trip to Atlanta to play for the national championship. Longhorns checking into their team hotel in Grapevine, thinking about the fact that they are back in the Final Four. Only team to be in the playoffs back-to-back, and now they're to the point where they started it last year, of course, now in the 12-team playoff, 2 wins under their belt, trying to exceed what happened last year and erase some bad memories along the way. Our Noah Gross was with the Longhorns when they arrived.
Coming into the playoff this year, Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian often remarked how the Longhorns were the only program to make the playoffs last year when it was in the 4-team format, and this year in the 12-team format. Well, now the Longhorns find themselves amongst the Final Four again, and last year in the semifinals, they had that heartbreaking loss to Washington. Coming into this season now, Sark said his team was obsessed with taking that next step and trying to win a national championship, and these Longhorn players know that loss to Washington in this round last year set in motion all the success they've had this campaign.
And it hurt bad, but now you know what that taste feels. It's kind of like when you touch a stove. Like you're not gonna touch that stove again. So we don't want to be on the other side of that again. I think it most definitely helped with people's mindset and how we go about business and things like that.
We all looked each other in the eye, and we knew we had to be back because that feeling is. It's an addictive feeling, being where we are right now.
I feel like this shaped our culture because it kind of set the standard for the team. And now that we're in a new era of Texas football, I feel like this is where we need to be every year from now on.
A lot of these Texas players are from the greater DFW area and really excited to be playing close to home, like Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers, who grew up in Southlake, about a half hour from AT&T Stadium in Arlington. And he has a lot of ticket requests, as you can imagine. He said all of those get funneled through the CEO of the family, Mom. I'm sure Quinn has enough to deal with on a week like this ahead of the Longhorns and the Buckeyes in Arlington. For now, reporting on the Cotton Bowl, Noah Gross, KXAN News.
And don't forget Texas Game Day, the official pregame show for Texas football on KBVO at 5:30 on Friday afternoon, 1 hour before kickoff. Also today, Steve Sarkisian, one of 6 finalists for the Bear Bryant Award, National Coach of the Year. Sark and Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame, the only 2 coaches still coaching, of course, Notre Dame. Tomorrow night, they will take on Penn State in the Orange Bowl in Miami for the right to get to Atlanta and play for the national championship. Thursday could be dicey, of course. They're expecting a lot of bad weather, winter weather. No schools for most of the Dallas area schools, and both teams will have to make their way from their respective hotels to AT&T Stadium for a walkthrough. Coaches have an afternoon news conference with the media, so hopefully the logistics will be okay on this day before the national semifinal game. There's basketball at Moody Center tomorrow. The Texas women trying to get to 3-0 in SEC play. Coming off the win over Arkansas, they get Alabama tomorrow. Aaliyah Moore coming off her best game since West Virginia. 17 points, 14 rebounds against Arkansas. She has been battling tendonitis with her knee. She's missed a couple of ball games. It seems to have found something that has put a big smile on her face, leading to that big game against the Razorbacks.
It's something I've been dealing with, and I've gotten an injection, and we've seemed to found the one that really helps. Thank God, finally. And so I've been doing that, making sure I'm eating right, staying hydrated, and then just communicating with coach when it's a good or bad day. And then, like you said, just kind of giving whatever % I can that day.
Longhorns facing a good Alabama team. They are 15-1 on the season. It's the Alabama program that Texas beat at Moody Center last year to advance to the Sweet 16. That wraps up our coverage from North Texas, but always check out KXAN.com for more sports.